BC Lions lose 37-33 to Hamilton here at BC Place Stadium. The Lions head into the bye week with a 3-5 record. For Hamilton, it's their fifth straight win after opening the season with a pair of losses. Now, look, this is a Lions-driven post-game rant for sure. However, this was a really, really good football game. And I know if you're a Lions fan, you're going to be sour. You're going to think, hey, we're up 10 points with less than 3 minutes to go. We need to find a way to win this game. And if you're a Lions fan, you probably have a beef there, and you should feel that way. However, these were two outstanding football teams, or at least two outstanding offenses, and I thought both teams put on a show. When you look at Hamilton, 389 yards from Bo Levi Mitchell, really, really effective, and we'll get into kind of why it got to that point for him. They had over 100 yards on the ground for the Lions, close to 300 yards passing for Nathan Rourke, who was much better this week than he was last week, and well over 100 yards from James Butler. So I just think this was a really entertaining game. And I understand that if you're a home fan, you're going to be sour that the home team didn't get things done. But this is what we need more of in the Canadian Football League. We need to be able to leave a game feeling thoroughly entertained. And if you only feel like you were thoroughly let down, then I think you're missing the point and you've lost the plot. Because this is what a CFL game should look like, feel like. And if you're a fan, you absolutely got your money's worth. Now, that said, and you got to give Hamilton full credit. Their offense is outstanding. I think their receiving core, 1 through 5, is the best in the league. And they've got two pretty good running backs behind them. They've got an offensive line that plays fairly well when they're healthy, and they got another guy back today, and they were good. And Bo Levi Mitchell, for my money, is playing the best football of his Hall of Fame career. And yeah, I know he's won Grey Cups and won all those games early in his career when he was in Calgary, but if you watched what he was doing in Calgary, a lot of getting the ball out quick, a lot of underneath stuff and being efficient. He is being asked to push the ball. He is being asked to play great. He's been asked to play the game differently. And for a guy his age to do what he's doing right now at this stage of his career, you can teach an old dog new tricks. He lost his job midway through last season because he was not protecting the football. Scott Milanovich was able to get him to turn things around in terms of how he plays. And if you're Bo, who I think came into this year thinking this was going to be it for him, boy, he is the MOP frontrunner right now, and I think he might be around for a while with the way he's playing. So the Lions didn't lose to chop liver, and BC's offense is very good, and I thought they played very good. And in most cases, 33 points should be enough to win the game, and in this case, it wasn't. And it probably came down to the last drive, and there's some context around that. Now, as far as BC's defense, because everybody on Twitter is all over the Lions' defense, Benavides should be fired, and this defense is embarrassing. Lighten up. They just played a really, really elite offense, and they made a decision going into the week that they were going to do everything they could to not let the best receiver in the league in Kenny Lawler beat them. Now, you can look back and say it was the wrong decision and they needed to mix things up a little bit more, but if you've watched Hamilton's offense closely, especially in these last 5 games, the receiving core is so good, they've always got an answer. So the Lions decided, don't let Kenny Lawler take over the game, and they succeeded. However, they also, didn't pay a lot of attention to Keandre Smith, who had 14 catches for 130-something yards and a couple of touchdowns, including one at the end of the game where he wasn't even covered. So they certainly let him take the game over. And also, when you look at Brendan O'Leary-Orange on the touchdown pass with just inside 3 minutes to go to really get Hamilton going again. So they get that touchdown, and then BC gets the ball back. And Nathan Rourke said after the game that, we want the ball in our hands with a chance to put things away. And they didn't do it. But I don't think it was their fault. And I say that because the officials missed a blatant offside call. And I think there were 3 poor calls that went against the Lions in this game. One was the Isaiah Messam block in the back, which our broadcast crew didn't think was, and I didn't either. Not sure that was game-changing. The Ben Hladek accidental pass interference call at the end, I thought that was a bad call. The Lions didn't have a challenge left because they'd already used their timeout. But first and goal at the 2. So I don't think that's changing the game, right? And even the busted coverage that led to Keandre Smith's score, it's still first down. Like, they've still got 2 plays from the 2. I don't think they changed the game. But the missed offside on 2nd and 7 for the Lions on their final drive, where they went 2 and out, I thought was a big miss. And Nathan Rourke admitted after the game that he thought it was offside too. And he threw the ball to, it wasn't a good pass to the left side. I can't remember if it was Catoy or Butler that he was trying to throw to, but he missed. He said he had Justin McInnis open inside. He didn't even try to go to him because he thought he had a free play, so it just didn't matter. He thought they were going to get 5 yards out of it anyway. So Yeah, you got to play through the plays and not count on the officials for sure. Big miss. Big miss. So, but again, like I'm not going to sit here and say that Hamilton wasn't full value because offensively they weren't. If they had to save most of it for the end of the game, so much so they did. Now, in terms of BC's defense, people are talking about their secondary as being a weak spot. My concern is the pass rush. Zero pass rush at all. And it wasn't much different last week against Saskatchewan. And this is a pass rush that should be better because Matthew Betts is a highly paid player. And even though he hasn't gotten a lot of sacks this year, he's been disruptive. He wasn't disruptive today. Kimoko Torre, minimal involvement. Sione Tuhema, like that's in terms of a three-man pass rush rotation, that's as good as any in the league in my opinion, and they didn't play like it. Defensively on the inside, they got Hendricks back. Tavai was there. Tavai got nicked up, missed a couple of series, but usually you count on him to draw a double team and free up guys on the edge. There was no pressure, and you can't play like that. So do I think at some point in this game, Mike Benavides probably needed to change things up a little bit because Bo was too comfortable? I do. But for the most part, I agree with the strategy. And that secondary, Robert Carter Jr., that interception was as good a play as I've ever seen in my 30 years covering this league. Like that was a big-time play by a 22-year-old who got lit up twice. He's been playing great football all season. Last week against Saskatchewan, he got lit up twice. I thought he bounced back and played really well in this game. And I thought Gary Peters played the best game I've seen him play this season. But in terms of the middle of that secondary, yeah, there was a lot of soft coverage and there were some misses there. They rallied, they made tackles, but they made it easy for Hamilton, even on second down, even on first and long. Hamilton had it easy. And the reason they had it easy, again, like this secondary can do some things if the pass rush did their job. And the pass rush did not do their job. So that's the biggest concern I have defensively. They better figure it out because if you are going to have to pressure with more than 4 on a consistent basis to get pressure, then you're going to leave your secondary exposed at times. And against Kenny Lawler, I get why you wouldn't. So, those were kind of my big takeaways. But like offensively, I thought the Lions played well. I thought Nathan Rourke played well. Close to 300 passing yards. He was a lot better than he was last week. There were a couple plays that he is upset about that he missed, including that second down, which was the free play offside that we're talking about. But overall, I thought he played much better than he did a week ago. I thought James Butler was outstanding in this game. And offensively, they played well enough to win. You want them to be able to finish that last drive. They didn't. Offensively, I believe they played well enough to win. Sometimes you're going to have to win a shootout. But, I remember coming here after the game at home against Winnipeg, and I thought BC played well enough to win defensively. Offense let them down. I thought, the game in Saskatchewan when Jeremiah Masoli was playing quarterback, I thought the defense played well enough to win that game. The offense let them down. This time, you'd have to say the defense did. And again, I get the strategy. Could they have tweaked things a little bit later in the game? Potentially. But got to give them full marks to Hamilton. They're a good football team. That offense is really, really good, and they were full value. So if you're a fan, lighten up. Calm down. You were entertained today. And I think the Lions are going to get their share of wins. And the way this is going, there's a playoff spot for them. It's going to be available. So, I think they're going to be fine. They came out of it healthy. They're going to have a bye, and I think they're going to, I think they're the last team in the league to get a bye. They need one. I expect them to come out of it a much better team, but they are going to have to find a way to play 60 minutes of football and play complementary football on a regular basis because that's one thing that hasn't happened. Turnovers weren't an issue for them today. Penalties weren't an issue for them today. In fact, they actually generated a couple of turnovers. There was the fumble. We talked about the interception, and they scored points off the turnovers. There was some positive. But enjoy the bye week. For me, it was a busy week. Lots of CFL or NFL this week. I was on my NFL tour. Came back for this game, and then I'm going to be in Seattle next week for the Seahawks. But it's football season, man. It's the best time of year.